Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, January 12th. We indeed have a significant winter storm threat for the mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S., probably for the time period late Sunday into Monday. We'll talk about that over the next several minutes here. There's still many questions that have to be answered. It does have a lot of potential, however, to have a lot of precipitation associated with it. The question right now is exactly what will the ultimate storm track be? Will it go inland enough to cause a changeover perhaps from snow to sleet, freezing rain in places like the I-95 corridor and points to the south and east of there? There certainly is potential right now for significant snowfall areas to the north and west of I-95. These are the kind of details we'll try to iron out over the next few days. Again, a significant winter storm threat for the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. for later Sunday into Monday. Let's talk about some of the players involved here using the operational run, at least to start here. I do want to show an Ensemble forecast map as well, but operational run of the GFS from 0Z last night. We had an Arctic invasion earlier in the week that really the core of the coldest air relative to normal took place in the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. from Monday night through last night. Today, especially this afternoon, there'll be some moderation in temperatures, and it'll turn a little bit milder, even more so on Thursday afternoon. Then progressively colder Friday into Saturday as strong high pressure builds to the north and east. And then we'll have to deal with the potential storm for later Sunday into Monday. Let's go through the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps from the 0Z GFS for North America. And again, we have some ridging pushing into the eastern states here over the next 24 hours or so, leading to milder conditions. Now, as we begin the day on Thursday, notice some blues showing up. These are lower heights to normal associated with a wave in the upper part of the atmosphere. And this is the initial system that we've talked about. Looks like it'll stay off the East Coast and have little to no impact Thursday, Friday time frame in the Mid-Atlantic region. Could have a little bit of an impact skirting the eastern part of New England. But this is an initial system here in what is turning out to be a stormier weather pattern. Again, this is now likely to stay off the East Coast, at least at the surface here. You see the upper level low a little bit closer to the coast, but the surface low will be farther off the East Coast at this particular time. Now, a couple things to look at here by the time we get to Friday morning. First of all, strong ridge popping up out here over the northwestern part of Canada. We've talked about teleconnection indices, the PNA, for example, Pacific North American pattern, they call it. That is in positive territory, and that usually is associated with ridging out in that part of North America. That in turn allows for colder air masses to push into the central and eastern U.S. Indeed, we warm up a little bit by tomorrow afternoon, but then we get progressively colder in the Mid-Atlantic region of the Northeast between Friday and Saturday. Saturday shaping up to be quite a cold day. Now, let's move forward here as we head into the early part of the weekend. A couple things to point out here. First of all, look at this blocking starting to show up here on the map. South of Greenland over the North Atlantic. Also, still have ridging out across western Canada. And here is the all-important upper-level system that will be diving into the Central Plains at the 500 millibar level early in the upcoming weekend. It then continues to dive to the south and east, kind of rounds the bend here by the time we get to Sunday morning. And at this particular time, there might be surface low pressure right in this region right here, basically in the southeastern part of the country. And it could end up producing significant snowfall for places like the interior or higher elevation locations of the Carolinas. Strong blocking over Greenland at this particular time. Still some ridging out across the west coast of the U.S. and Canada. Then that swings to the north and east, and at this particular time, the GFS model, and we'll see this in a moment, has the surface low tending to go a little bit inland over the I-95 corridor, for example, and that could have make a big difference in terms of ultimate snowfall accumulation amounts here. We'll see if that kind of a storm track holds true. Here we go a little bit farther in time. A very healthy system by the time we get to Monday morning, sitting at the upper levels right on top of the Mid-Atlantic region. Notice a little secondary wave of energy here across the upper part of the Midwest. How these two interact will ultimately decide what happens in the later Sunday, Monday time period. Notice also, strong Arctic high pressure will be situated across the southeastern part of Canada, the northwestern part of the Atlantic Ocean during this upcoming event. Now let's take a kind of a closer look here just at the continental U.S. in terms of the 500 millibar vorticity pattern. Vorticity fields are areas of spin in the upper part of the atmosphere. They tend to lead to upward motion down in the lower part of the atmosphere. So we track these vorticity maxima, as they're called, to kind of determine where surface low pressures may form, where precipitation may form down at the ground level. First of all, let's move forward from Wednesday into Thursday, and we have a milder pattern for the next couple of days compared to the last couple of days for the Mid-Atlantic region. Here is the wave of energy for that initial system, the system that will stay off the East Coast for the most part in the Thursday-Friday time frame. This is Thursday afternoon. Low pressure may form right here over the southeastern coastline, but then push off to the north and east with this wave going well off the coast. It does not phase in or turn to the north and east in time for any kind of an impact from this initial system in the Mid-Atlantic region. Here we go now. This is Friday night forecast map, and here comes the all-important upper-level wave that will help to set off the low-pressure area in the southeastern states by the time we get to Sunday. It's diving into the Central Plains, then it continues to move to the south and east. Meantime, on Saturday especially, you have strong high pressure out across southeastern Canada. A very cold air mass pushes in. Progressively colder between Friday and Saturday. That's an important fact shaping up here, that we'll have a fresh cold air mass moving in by the early part of the weekend into the Mid-Atlantic region, into the northeast U.S. And here comes the bowling ball of an upper level disturbance here, a strong upper level low, strong vorticity max, and at this point in time it starts to turn to the north and east and a little bit inland here. And notice also, we've mentioned this up front, a secondary disturbance here, and there could be some kind of an interaction here. Perhaps this pulls us inland a little bit, perhaps it doesn't, and it allows it to go a little bit farther to the east. But at this particular time, we'll see in a moment here at the surface maps, surface low pressure, at least from last night's 0Z run of the GFS, a little bit inland over the I-95 corridor. We finally get to Monday afternoon, and that pushes off to the north and east, and a secondary wave of energy comes into the eastern states. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps, again using the operational run of the GFS from 0Z last night. We'll move forward here rather quickly in the first couple of frames here. By the time we get to Friday morning, there's that initial wave low pressure system off the eastern seaboard. Again, it will have little in the way of impact with respect to precipitation for the Mid-Atlantic region. There certainly will be some winds on the backside of that storm and an approaching cold frontal system. We'll notice a northeast flow throughout much of the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. on Friday, and Friday will be a colder day than what we'll experience on Thursday. Then we move forward again, and a couple of key players here on the map by Saturday morning. Very strong Arctic high over the southeastern part of Canada. Anyone who's followed my videos over the years knows that rule number one for snowstorms in the I-95 corridor region, in my opinion, have a strong cold Arctic high to the north. You have to have a way to maintain cold air. Now, some of the models are pushing this rather quickly to the south and east. It's one of the things we'll watch over the next couple of days. It looks to me almost unrealistically quickly off to the east here. And let's see what the GFS does here. But this is a very cold air mass in place by Saturday morning, some 24 to 36 hours ahead of the storm system. Then here we go by Sunday morning. Notice low pressure over the Tennessee Valley and a strong high over New England comes Sunday morning. You even have the isobar pattern here, kind of a kinkiness showing up in this isobar pattern. That's what we call cold air damming. It suggests cold air is pouring down the east side of the Appalachians, and once it does that, especially if it's backed up by a strong high pressure to the north, that cold air is very hard to dislodge at the lower levels of the atmosphere. That's an important fact here that we'll be looking for over the next few days. In other words, raises the chance for some ice. Even if it warms up aloft, cold air at the surface here, hard to dislodge with high pressure to the north. Let's move a little bit farther in time here. And here we go. By the time we get to Sunday night, notice a little bit of an inland track here for the surface low pressure. The initial wave over the Tennessee Valley kind of transfers this energy to the inland storm here, maybe near coastal areas here by Sunday evening. Snow moves in later in the day in the D.C. metro region. Later Sunday we're talking about it, then moves to the north and east. But with an inland track here, as suggested right now by this model run, right here over the I-95 corridor region, late Sunday night, early Monday, the heaviest snow will be north and west of the I-95 corridor, and points closer to the coast will change over, perhaps from snow to ice, and then ultimately to rain. That is still on the table here. One of the things I will mention here is that it's not often that you see a track like this over the I-95 corridor for a storm. Usually they're closer to the coast or along the coast, or they're farther inland. The coast is a favorable position for movement of the low pressure because there's a natural thermal gradient right at the coastline between the relatively warm waters of the western Atlantic and the cold land conditions. And remember, we'll have an Arctic air mass in place. It'll be a cold land comes Sunday morning. So it'll be a natural temperature gradient or thermal gradient right along the coastline. Not too often, again, that the storm goes over the I-95 corridor region. In other words, I think there's a possibility it ends up farther to the south and east. That'll bring the heaviest snow band farther to the south and east. One storm I do remember where it was kind of an inland track was early March 1994, I think March 3rd or so, 1994. It had a mixed bag. It certainly had some significant snow and ice before maybe a changeover to rain. But again, we'll watch to see if this ends up a little bit farther to the south and east, let's say right along the coast where there's a natural temperature gradient. As it stands right now, significant snow is possible north and west of I-95 central, western Pennsylvania, for example, West Virginia. Again, we're several days away. So let's move forward in time here. Inland, right over central PA for the surface low. That would certainly result in a changeover to rain across coastal sections of New Jersey, for example, Delmarva, maybe even into the I-95 corridor region. Again, several days to go. We'll see if this ultimately ends up a little bit farther to the east. There's also a chance it backs in a little bit farther to the west. The trend certainly has been shifting to the north and west in the last 24 hours or so by some of these computer forecast models. But let me show one other thing I look at this particular stage, and it's an ensemble run of the GFS. And here it is, the ensemble run of the GFS from the same time frame as the operational run, 0Z last night. This is a forecast map of surface low pressure locations as of Sunday night. And basically what we're seeing here, there's all these red markings here represent different positions of a surface low pressure area as of Sunday evening, as depicted by what we call different ensemble members. And I mentioned this in yesterday's video. Each ensemble member has a slightly different set of initial conditions. One may be a little bit warmer, one may be a little bit colder, one may be a little bit wetter, one may be a little bit drier. Then you run forward in time to see what these different ensemble members do, and if you end up with a cluster of low pressure locations very clustered together, it gives you high confidence that the model is doing a good enough job that you have high confidence in the forecast. If they're really spread apart, that means there's still some variability and some differences that have to be ironed out over the next day or two. But the main point I want to emphasize here is right now the ensembles are kind of focused in with surface low pressure. If you combine all of these ensemble members seen right here, they end up right about in this location as of Sunday evening. Now let's compare that to the operational run. We'll go back to this time for the operational run. And here it is. This is a Sunday evening forecast map. The operational, notice, has a surface low pressure right over central North Carolina, whereas the ensemble has a little bit farther to the south and east. This gives me some confidence that maybe the track will eventually shift a little bit to the south and east. Again, the operational run right here over central North Carolina. The ensemble run a little bit farther to the south and east. Just one of the things we'll monitor over the next few days. Again, several days to go. So there's a lot to iron out here over the next couple of days for this significant winter storm threat later Sunday into Monday. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.